Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome in. This is episode 47. We're short on time, so we are going to just hop into the recording of today's show. If you're here live, drop live. If you're watching the replay, wherever you're catching this, just drop replay so I can show you some love. Hey, what's up? Jeremy here from whatupjeremy.com, back with another episode of Client by Client. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Yesterday on the podcast, we talked about something pretty important because many of you listening to this right now, and I know this from having conversations with you, looking at your online business, diving under the hood, you don't know the difference between convos and leads. And right now, you might only be aiming for leads, but missing the entire conversational aspect, layer, and component of your online business. And it's keeping you back from having actual warm leads and not messing up your numbers, and it's holding you back from signing up new clients. So I want you to backtrack one episode. If you right now are a little bit unsure, and you know, if based on what I just said, if you're unsure and you need some clarity around the process, because I made this, there's nothing wrong with being unclear about it. I made this episode so that you can get clear about it, and so that you can start taking the right actions to move your pipeline in the right direction, to firm it up, so that we stop going in circles thinking it's your offer, thinking it's your content, and we start to just nail it on the head, and we start to get you some more signups and some more clients flowing your way. So backtrack one episode and be sure to check out that episode of Client by Client. In today's episode, we're going to be building on that and on these last 46 episodes of the show, because I want to talk about what happens when you have a dry spell, what to do, how to handle it, if you're alone, if you're not alone, and just break this open so that you can know what to do should a dry spell happen, because it happens to the best of us. And I want for you to know how to be able to avoid it. Before we talk about the tactics for how to get out of a dry spell, it's super important that you know what happens if you don't get today's episodes right. Before we get into the tactics, I think it's super important that you understand what happens if you don't get today's episode right. The first thing that happens is that you continue not having signups. That means that your revenue stays low. Maybe you have some clients right now that are on payment plans, and so you have some revenue coming in. You start to rest on your laurels, and you continue not having clients that sign up. That's the first thing that happens. So revenue stays low. You don't have clients to work with. You don't have success stories. And then what ends up happening, the second thing, is that you start to lose your confidence in your abilities to land clients, which leads to you losing your confidence of your ability to coach your clients. And when that happens, that loss of confidence starts to come through your content. It starts to come through in the conversations, it starts to come through in your pipeline, and your results continue downwards in that spiral. And where we want you to be is upwards in the spiral. So if you don't get this right, you are going to continue not having signups, and your confidence is going to take a major hit. These are things we want to avoid. And so if you're in a dry spell, we want to get you out of that. If you had dry spells in the past, bookmark this episode. That way you always have this to be able to come back to, because chances are it's not going to happen overnight that you get out of these dry spells and that this never happens again. And so use this as a reminder so that you have a resource and you have something at your fingertips to be able to overcome this. Now let's talk about the tactics and get a little bit into the meat of today's episode. And I think that it is important that we address firsthand, before we do talk about the tactics, that dry spells happen. They happen to the best coaches. They happen to the coaches who care the most. They happen to coaches at different parts of their journey. So if you are in a dry spell right now, you're not alone. If you haven't had a dry spell yet, congratulations, that's awesome. You'll have this episode as a way to keep yourself out of it. And should it ever happen or creep into your business, or you look up and realize, well, I haven't had a sign up this week, I haven't had a sign up this month, well, when was my last sign up? You're going to have this episode as a resource to go through and to get yourself out of that, to start climbing out of that hole, to stop digging, to climb out of that hole, and to get yourself back into a money-making position and to start getting some clients in. Okay, so the first thing that I want for you to do, if you find yourself in a dry spell, is I want for you to think about your hottest or your warmest leads. Who has come your way? Who has shown interest in some help? Who in your pipeline is in your pipeline but hasn't booked a call or hasn't bought yet? Those are the first things that I want you thinking about. Is we need to get into the money now stage. And if you might totally not have any of these, but this is the first box you need to check. Sometimes just looking produces that lead, produces that opportunity. So I want you to start off with looking at your hottest leads. If they at least know about you and have shown some interest, then that's the hottest of the leads that you have. Congrats. That's where you're going to start. The second thing that you're going to do is I want you to think about your follow-ups. And usually when you're in a dry spell and you've been prospecting and you've been in coaching, right, you have a little bit of an audience or a social platform that has a couple friends. It's not just you. Is that you probably have not gotten yet used to the art of following up. And so what this means is, yeah, you might be following up with someone who booked the call or a client who said, let me talk to my wife. But if you haven't followed up with the people who've requested your most recent lead magnets, who've asked for resources that you sent these resources over to, then you're also missing out on opportunities. And yesterday's episode, we talked about the difference between convos and leads. And we talked about what needs to happen in order for them to actually be a lead. You might not have leads because you're not following up on the conversations that you are starting. You're not following up with people who watch your story. You're not following up with people who leave comments on your posts and saying thanks. And every now and again, also making offers and invitations for them to take the next stage. You just don't have this follow-up game dialed in yet in your online business. And so sometimes this is a kick in the pants. Go and do your follow-ups if you're in a dry spell right now. Talk with your warmest leads first, and then I want for you to go through story watchers, commenters, interactors, lurkers, the people that you can see on social media that are somehow viewing or interacting with your content, and just circle back with them and say thanks. Give them some value. Ask them if they would like this newest training, this newest lead magnet, this newest thing that you pulled from your client delivery like we talked about yesterday, and if they would like that. And now you're back in a conversation. Now you can see if they're interested in some help. Lastly, on this point is past clients. A lot of us overlook people who've given us money in the past, and those are usually our biggest advocates. The people that are happiest with our help is our past clients. And we've talked, which episode was it? Let's see here. In episode 41, we talked about how to create the coaching program that your clients never want to leave. Well, you probably, even if you've aimed at doing that and you're the best coach in the world, you've probably had some clients that at the end of their agreement, they've either decided that we're going to pause right now, or that we're going to figure some things out, or we're going to go and implement, or we're going to do something other than continue on coaching together for one reason or another. Touch base with those folks. See what's new with them. See how you can add value to their lives. See what has changed, and if now is a good time to continue moving forward together. Are they moving as fast as they were with your help, or could they move faster now with your help again? So I want for you at this stage to be thinking about your opportunities that are closest to conversion. Those are your hot leads, those are past clients, and those are following up. Not in that exact order, but this is the bucket you got to be in. This is the first thing I want you doing. Fuck your content, fuck making new stuff, fuck lead magnets, fuck all of that. You have to get into money now situations. So you have to do the thing that you're dreading, which is prospecting, which is following up, which is making offers and invitations. That's thing number one. The second thing that you have to do, that should take you no more than 15, 30 minutes, no more than an hour if you're extremely distracted. The next thing that you're going to do is you have to get visible. I specifically didn't put this first because we have to get into money now tasks. And if we rate the money now tasks, you making content doesn't have the highest chance today of you bringing in money, but you have to get visible. You have to turn on the welcome lights of your online business and show that your store's open. Someone's in there. People come through here and you're more than welcome in. You have to get visible. The first thing is you're going to create a minute-long story and you need to promote something. Think about your most recent lead magnet. Think about a training, a YouTube video, a podcast, whatever you've done. I do this podcast daily. I do it a few days ahead. So today on the podcast is today on the podcast, we're talking about everything to do post-sale in today on June 7th. That's what's going live on today's podcast. That gives me some time to edit it and do the production, but I'm saying that because now that I know that yesterday's episode or today's episode was everything to do post-sale and that yesterday's episode is scrap your website, I have two things I can go and promote. I promote the day before's episode. That way when you go in and check it out, there's another episode on top of that. So I always get on my story and I record a 1-minute episode promoting yesterday's podcast. Here's what happened yesterday on the podcast. I do it for a minute. I drop the link and I bounce out. Get on your story. I don't care what you're wearing. I don't care how you look. Get visible, get on your story. Real works better than shiny and polished. The next thing that I want for you to do, either on your Facebook profile or your Instagram story or your Facebook group, wherever your main platform and your one channel is for getting clients that you're building and nurturing right now, you need to post a hand raising, you need to post a hand raiser, an interest generating post in your in that platform, on that platform. So what this looks like on Facebook is using the text on background feature and putting something that gets people to take the next step with you and that calls them into action, which are usually going to be by giving something away. In episode 30, I gave you 3 hand raising posts that you can rip off and steal to get clients in the next 72 hours. So backtrack to episode 30 so that you can download these, install them, and steal them from me and go and use them to create conversations. What this usually sounds like is I just made a new training on how to get out of a dry spell for online coaches. Would you like a copy? Would you like my 26-minute masterclass on how to get clear on your next right step? Would you like my checklist for how to get your 6-pack abs? Would you like a checklist? Would you like my single mom checklist for getting your high school body back? That's what that looks like. All right. So doing a hand raising post for something you've already made and something you already have. Not creating something new. This is not the stage to be creative. This is not the stage to do any of that. You are trying to get to the money right now. That's how you're going to do it. You need to go and post a hand raiser. And if you don't know what this is, you need to go to my Facebook profile. You need to go to my Instagram, go to the Leverage Coach Facebook group and see what I'm doing. Model success. Success leaves clues. And if you're not doing these things because you have the wrong idea of what it takes to be doing organic content on social media, you have to get your mind right around that. You need to subscribe to this show and continue tuning in and listening until we, kind of beat this drum in a way that you start to catch onto the rhythm and do the dance with us. Thing number 2 is you have to get visible. Start with a minute-long story promoting something you already have, and then think about going to your main social platform, your main social, your feed or your Facebook group or your email list, and you need to get people responding to you for value. That means giving away something you already have that people have gotten results with, taking something out of your program and saying, hey, would you like this thing? I just created this thing. I just uploaded this thing. Yesterday, I did this thing. Would you like it? Hey, I just made an update to the checklist that I have for my paying coaching clients, and I thought it'd be helpful for you. Would you like it? You don't need to write a bunch of copy. You need to get very clear, not clever, very clear, not creative in this post to get people responding with that word. The more clever you try to get, the more polished you try to make this, the more pretty and kayaks under the moonlight you try to make this, the worse it's going to perform. It needs to be straight to the point. It needs to give them value. People are short on time. They don't have time to interpret it as what it is you're trying to get at, and they think that you're trying to sell them when you get creative and fancy. So get visible, post on your story, post a hand-raising post. Number 3, this is the fastest way I know of getting you out of the energy of the dry spell and getting you into the mode and into the energy that's required for you landing clients consistently. I need for you to give. I need for you to just get out there and give. The next best thing to working with a paying client is working with someone. The next best thing to working with someone who's paying you as a client is to work with someone that you'd love to work with, but maybe isn't paying you yet. Maybe can't afford it. Maybe now is not the time, but to still get underneath them and to serve them. I need you to get into a help and into a service mode. As online coaches, if you don't have coaches to coach, then are you coaching? No, go and find people to give value to. I'm not saying, hey, work with me for 6 weeks for free. I'm saying, hey, what do you have going on right now? I have a couple extra minutes and I thought about you. Let's hop on a quick call, or sending in DM. Hey, I'm around right now. What questions do you have? Going and posting in your group. I have an extra minute. How can I be of service to you? Go live in your group and say, hey, here are the top 10 questions that I've been getting. Before I get started, drop your questions in. I'll answer them while I'm live here, or I'll do this again next week if there's enough demand. If you don't have a huge audience, come up with those questions, come prepared, give those questions, be of service, show your face. Back to the second point, get visible. I want for you to start setting out invitations, okay? Manually, going to your most recent prospects, recent members of your audience, recent people that have followed you, and say thanks, give them value. Hey, you've been following me for a while, we've been friends here, I'm not sure if you know, I have this thing for free. I do these sorts of calls with people just like you. Would you like one? Hey, I'm doing these things. Give value, invite people, make offers, be of help, and get underneath them by being of service. This is the fastest way to shift your energy from I don't have any clients to completely disregarding all of those things and getting underneath people. And what reality sees, what universe sees is you are helping people, you are being of service. And what can happen when you do this is that, and don't just do this and expect that someone's going to sign up, but what can happen is someone who wasn't considering working with you might say, hey, what does it actually cost? Do you have room for me? What does this actually look like? This has been freaking rad. I didn't know that about you that you just shared with me. I didn't know you were so good and that we would vibe so well together. Is this puts them way closer to thinking about you than people are currently. Now you're closer to getting out of that dry spell. Now the chances that they sign up might be faster, might be sooner than when they may have done it of their own accord, which is typically just not going to happen. You need to be the person driving that, pushing that forward, and making this happen. This is how you get out of a dry spell and get yourself into a mode of starting to attract those conversations, those leads, and those people, those faces that are considering working with you and getting them one step closer to get out of that dry spell and to land that stinking client. In the next episode of Client by Client, we're going to be talking about what it all starts with. And we're going to talk about this mindset. And I'm not going to spoil it any, but all you need to know is it starts with this. We're going to cover it in tomorrow's episode. And we're going to continue building on everything that we've done here tomorrow in episode 49. Whenever you are ready, here are a few ways I can help you grow your online business. Coaches, are you still managing your leads and pipeline from your email inbox, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram DM? Well, you're losing a lot of money and you're losing a lot of money and you're also losing a lot of leads in the cracks. And that's why I created GetBookedCRM. GetBookedCRM helps you get leads and turn them into clients in half the time. Online coaches, it's 100% free here in June 2023. All you have to do is find me on Instagram and send me the letters CRM. Second, join my free group for online coaches. We're almost at 900. I always say 1,000. We're almost at 900. And I would love for you to be a part of our free group where I share resources, trainings you can get around me, and almost 1,000 coaches from all over the world. Online coaches, all you have to do is find me on Instagram and send me the word group or search Leverage Coach on Facebook. Lastly, become my next success story. I'm getting some coaches together this month to implement my methods and strategies for injecting 15K worth of new clients or doubling your online client roster over the next 30, 60, 90 days, but I'm very picky about who I work with. So only respond to this if you are a relationship-focused coach who always puts a person ahead of the money. You've been coaching for at least 1 year, or you're not brand new last night to coaching. You'd like to get 3 to 5 clients organically from social media every month without wasting money on paid ads. You have at least 300 friends on a social platform, an email list, or a group. You are willing to take bold action because you know your success depends upon it. And last but not least, you can keep a secret. If that's you, I want for you to grab your phone right now and find me over on Instagram at WhatUpJeremy and send me the words case study. When you do that, I'll ask you a couple questions of your online business. When you do that, I'll ask you a couple questions about your online business, and then I'll share with you what we have coming up this month, how we're already working with students in the Get Clients program and the results they're experiencing, and which part of the program will likely have the highest impact on your online business the soonest. That way we can work you towards getting clients and implementing everything that I have to making that whole process easier. Again, find me on Instagram at WhatUpJeremy and send me the words case study. That's it for today's episode of Client by Client. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you guys back with another episode tomorrow. Cheers. All right, guys, I have a student call in 3 minutes. Going to get ready and run to that. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you made it all the way through to the end, drop Wednesday in all caps. Would love to show you some love and send you some hope. Martin's in the house and having a dry dip. Hey, we're gonna fix that, my man. Thanks so much for being here live. I appreciate you, brother. Got to put your pretty face up here, handsome man. All right, guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow and Get Client Students 2 minutes. You know where to go. You know where to get it. Let's hop in. Let's do this. Peace, guys.